Hey guys, and welcome back to the With a Bang podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to be doing something that has been super highly requested. For some of you who don't know, I am Elsie Bang, and I am a professional model here in Toronto. Although I don't speak about it much on the podcast, I think I did maybe one episode on how I became a model featuring my mom, and I think that's pretty much all I've done as it pertains to modeling. But basically, by virtue of what I do receive a lot of DMs on Instagram from people who want to get started with modeling, want to get a foot in the industry, and they just basically want to know, how do I become a model? Where do I start? How do I go about things, building a portfolio, getting into an agency, all these other questions. And usually I try my best to reply to them individually, but the truth is, like, it's just getting to a point where I'm like, why not just make a video about it and bless whoever can be blessed through this video? So if you're an aspiring model, or you know someone who's an aspiring model and they just want to know how to get started, then this episode is for you. I'm going to do my best to share the stuff that I wish I knew before I started, and the stuff that I just feel like is essential to getting started. Okay, so number one. Usually, I'd say for most people, the first step would be to apply to an agency. Look in your area and see what agencies are out there that are reputable. There are a lot of fake and scammy agencies out there that just look to get people's money and offer them no work. And also, there are some agencies out there that are not safe. They do send you to dangerous jobs and the like. And it can be quite difficult to figure out which ones are reputable and which ones are not. That said, if you are in the Toronto area, I will have a list of agencies that I personally recommend. I have friends in those agencies. This is not to say that this is the extensive list of all the agencies in Toronto that are reputable, but there's about a list of 8 or 10 or so that I'm aware of that are reputable, and the people who are assigned to them have given me nothing but good reviews. So I'll have that down in the description below, and you can take a look at that and you can apply to those agencies. Now, in terms of how you apply to agencies, for the most part, in the past, so this was like before COVID, there was the opportunity for you to come into an agency and do what is called an open call. So in an open call, you walk into the agency, they take a look at you, they go and they whisper in their office, and they deliberate, and then they come back, and then they basically let you know whether they're willing to offer you a contract or not. So things were quite simple back then. Now with COVID and everything, most agencies don't do that anymore. They require that you do submit online. And so what you're going to need is something called digitals or Polaroids. Now, what are these? A lot of people do get a little bit mixed up when it comes to digitals, but digitals are basically pictures that showcase a model in their natural form. So this basically means no makeup, you're just wearing simple, usually black or white, tight-fitted clothes, and you are just no crazy lighting, no filters, no excessive anything. You're just taking a picture in your natural form. Now, they're usually going to request 4 images, maybe a 5th one. And the 4 images are usually a full body shot, a mid shot, which is about like from like waist up, a close up face shot, and a 3/4 or a side profile shot. And then some agencies also have a spot for you to submit a personality shot. So something with like a smile, or you doing something a little bit more quirky. So those are the 4 to 5 images that will usually be requested. Now, a lot of people do get very scared. They do say, oh my gosh, like I don't have a professional photographer to take these pictures for me or whatever. Guys, you don't have to pay somebody to take digitals for you. They're literally so simple. You can literally get a blank wall in your house. You get a friend or a family member to grab their phone and just take a picture of you. And that is all. I know that sometimes it may feel like that's way too simple. They're not going to be able to imagine me as a model. You usually want to go a little bit more overboard. But the truth is that you're kind of showing them a blank canvas, and agents are trained to be able to look at a person and see their potential. So you don't have to worry about them being professional at all. If you are watching this on YouTube, then I'll have a couple images on digitals like floating on the screen, just so that you can have an idea of what they actually look like. And if you're listening on the podcast, then pop on YouTube and take a look. But I'll also have some links in the podcast description notes to all these things, so you won't have to worry about that as well. Okay, so now that you have your digitals and you're able to apply, I would say apply to all the agencies that you're aware of. Don't just apply to one. Why do I say this? I say this because you want to see what agency resonates with you. After you submit online, you may receive a call back, or you may receive a meeting via Zoom, or they may ask you to come into the office. Whatever the case may be, there's going to be some sort of interaction, hopefully, for you to be able to get to know the agents better, or at least maybe there'll even just be an email back and forth. Whatever the case may be, you want to apply to all the agencies, and then you want to see where it feels like home. Not every single agency, like many agencies are good, but not every agency is going to be for you. We are human beings at the end of the day, and we all form relationships differently. And so you may find that you just click with a certain agency more than another, and it's just based on relationship. So I remember that when I was going to apply for agencies, I had been called into one agency and they offered me a contract and I wanted to sign right away. But the advice that I got was, don't do that. Apply to all the agencies and then see. And so what I did was I applied to all the other agencies. I got rejected. And then I ended up coming back to the first agency that offered me a contract, and I signed with them. That said, you never know. Some other agency may have accepted me and it may have been a better fit. In my case, it just happened to be that the one option that I got was the perfect option for me. So yeah, definitely try to spread your eggs into different baskets and see what comes back to you. Another thing I will say is that most people think that, just getting an agency is the biggest part of the job. And honestly, it isn't. Getting signed to an agency is literally just the beginning. Just because you're signed to an agency doesn't mean that you're going to get work right away. In my personal case, and I feel like I say this all the time, but in my case, I had been signed to an agency and for 7 months, I didn't receive a single bit of work. And that happens for a lot of people. You may be the person who you get signed and next week you're in Milan walking for Fashion Week, but you may be that person who it takes a little bit more time and it's a little bit more of a slow burn. Whatever the case may be, if you find that you've gotten signed and you're in a period of waiting, don't worry about it. It isn't necessarily that there's anything wrong with you, but it may be the timing, the season, maybe you don't have enough pictures in your portfolio. Whatever the case may be, don't freak out. Don't start to let insecurity seep in, because that's definitely what I did. I remember starting to think, am I ugly? Am I meant to do this? But it wasn't personal, and when I was able to let that go a little bit and just focus on building myself as a model, building my skills, building my portfolio, I found that naturally over time, the job started coming in. And I'm telling you, all it takes is one job to get the ball rolling, and you're in. So don't worry about it. That one opportunity will come, so don't stress too much. Next, along the same vein of you may end up finding that you're in a waiting season. If you're in a waiting season and you're looking for ways to build yourself up as a model, even though you may be signed, or maybe you didn't get signed and you haven't been accepted to an agency yet, I'd also consider that being in a waiting season. I would say use that opportunity to try your best to build your portfolio. Now, there are going to be some shoots that you do for a portfolio where you will pay a photographer and a team to take some pictures of you, and that's completely normal. You just do that in order to refresh your book or in order to build your book. And if that's money that you're able to invest, then definitely feel free to go for it. It's a normal thing to do. That said, many people don't have the money to invest in that kind of thing quite yet. I know that I didn't when I was just starting out. And something that I discovered that is actually possible is that you can do something called a creative shoot. Now, in a creative shoot, a photographer, a makeup artist, potentially a stylist, and a model, they all come together in order to make a body of work, in order to shoot. And basically, nobody gets paid. Everyone is offering or rendering their services for free. And the payment is basically something called TFP. So time for photos. So that's literally it. I super recommend that if you're a model out there, that you just DM people on Instagram. Social media can be such an amazing tool, and creatives are a great way that people have found to not only practice their modeling, but also to build their book and also to network and connect with other creatives in the city. Toronto is such a small community, trust me. And when you start, shooting with people and networking and discovering what different people are doing, you'll find that everything is actually quite connected. And just from knowing one person, you get to start building your own little network of other connections as well. So I highly recommend creatives reach out to people on Instagram, follow them. Don't just try to use them for what they can do. Like really find people that you resonate with, that you connect with, that you love their work, and then authentically reach out. There was a time when I would go on Instagram and basically look like Toronto photographer or hashtag photographer, or go to agency pages and see who their model shot with, because usually it's tagged, and then go to those photographer pages. Whatever the case may be, find photographers and then reach out, and be polite when you're reaching out. Usually I had a little template, which would be like, hi, my name is Elsie, and I'm a model here in Toronto. I really, really love your work, and I would love one day, if you're hoping to shoot a creative or you need somebody with my look, I would love to work with you. Or I could also say, it would be an honor to work with you one day, and I hope that you consider me, something along those lines. And then you just go from there. Super simple. But I've been able to do some really cool shoots. And even if it doesn't work out immediately, sometimes you find that just by reaching out and putting yourself out there, now you're on that person's radar. And literally, I think the other day, somebody who I had reached out to back in 2019 and I hadn't gotten a response from, I actually ended up shooting with them in 2022. So that was 3 years later. But it was an amazing shoot, and it was great. And the timing just ended up being perfect. And I think you when you put yourself out there, then it just allows for things to come your way. So don't be discouraged if you don't hear back immediately. You never know what's cooking up in the background. Another thing that I like to remind models is that as a model, you are not the employee of an agency. They are working for you because you are self-employed. And so no one is going to care about you, or nobody's going to care about your career the way that you are. No one's going to fight for you the way that you are. So it's very, very important that you really just try your best to take charge of your career. Don't forget, you are not the only model at your agency. You have a bunch of other models on the roster that the agents are doing their best to also get work for. And so sometimes, we're all human, you may end up, being pushed to the background a little bit because you haven't come up in their mind as of late. That's why I say it's really important to message your agents. Don't be annoying. Don't pester them because they do have stuff to do, but reach out to them, build a relationship, find ways to connect, check in on them sometimes, let them know that you appreciate them. All those little things really help and go a really long way in building a really good relationship with your agent. And naturally, because we are human, like I like to say, you'll be at the forefront of their mind, and more work is more likely to come your way. Now, I know that a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about has been from an agency perspective. That's because I was fortunate enough to get signed right away, so that's the only experience that I know of. That said, I have heard other people's stories, and even if you do apply to a bunch of agencies and you find that you don't immediately get accepted, please don't be discouraged. If you really believe that this is a thing for you, continue to have faith. For me, I would personally say that my faith is something that has kept me alive in this industry, because if you don't have something to hold on to, if you don't have something to anchor you, this industry can literally eat you up. It is an industry full of rejection, whether you are signed or not. And, just being able to hold on to the fact that God will provide for you, and what will be for you, and nothing and no one can stop that. Being able to hold on to that fact has really helped to keep me sane as I've navigated the industry. So basically what I'm trying to say is that even if you find that you have applied and you haven't been accepted, don't lose heart, don't lose hope. There's many people who have applied, been rejected, gone, built their book, built their skill, gotten, good to the point where you just can't ignore the fact that regardless of whatever limitation that they may perceivedly have, regardless of that, they are a good model. And at some point, agencies just sign. I mean, there's a girl who is a fantastic model, and she is, I think, 5'5", or 5'6". She's quite short, but she's amazing and she does amazing work. And she got rejected by a bunch of agencies, but over time, as she was, networking, as she was modeling, as the work that she was putting out was amazing, one day a photographer was just like, how are you not signed? And the photographer put her forth and she got signed to an agency and she's doing amazing. Honestly, this is not an easy industry to be a part of, but if this is something that you really believe is for you, if this is something that you really believe is your dream and you really want to pursue it, then just continue to have hope, continue to believe, continue to push. Good things don't always come easy, and just know that if something is for you, I genuinely believe that nothing and no one can stop the plans of God for your life. So keep going, be encouraged, keep building, keep believing, and one day you are sure to see the fruits of your labor. So I hope this video helped. And if there's any questions that you guys have, if there's another video that you guys want me to make, or episode rather, then just let me know. I do think that I'll probably do another episode on things I wish I knew before I started, because there's a couple random things that you'd think that people will tell you about that they don't. So I'll probably do that sometime later. But for now, this should at least help you get started and go out and start applying. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.